The most must-see deep dive into a brand new releasing product of all time. Welcome to the Cherry Live Deep Dive, where we have a look at the brand new, upcoming, incredible products that are coming out this year. And right now, the first one, the very first edition of this, is to be done on the brand new WWE Prizm. And the exciting thing is that there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to discuss. There's a lot to go into. Of course, WWE Prizm is the first release of the foray into wrestling cards by Panini. And it's a very exciting time. There's a lot to look forward to and a lot to talk about. So we're not going to waste any time, and we're going to have a look at some of the cards, some of the things to expect, and some things I was surprised by, looking forward to, and some questions, some potential future roads. We'll see how it goes. We'll get right deep into it. The first thing that I think everybody wants to know about, the first thing that people will be looking at is, of course, the Color Blast. The Color Blast is the most exciting, most sought after insert going around at the moment, and we'll get rid of Becky here. The super short print Color Blast 10 card set this year is smaller than it has been for other sports. Of course, with no teams, there's nothing really to represent. But we're looking at Brock Lesnar, Charlotte Flair, Roman Reigns, Alexa Bliss, Goldberg, Becky Lynch, John Cena, Sasha Banks, Big E, and Bianca Belair. And the list is solid, very solid. A lot of these wrestlers have either already achieved or on their way to becoming major crossover stars. Obviously, Alexa Bliss is probably the most popular, well-selling female in wrestling at the moment. Becky Lynch is right up there with her. Brock Lesnar, crossover star. Charlotte Flair, you'd probably put on the same level as those other females. On top of that, you also have Roman Reigns, the big dog, he's there. Goldberg, iconic. Big E, I think, is probably the most up and coming of those in terms of the crossover potential. Obviously, just won the title, unfortunate injury, which obviously wouldn't have been taken into consideration at the time of creating the list. But Big E, probably, I think, as it stands, Big E's crossover appeal will be the most underrated to us, but he is going to be absolutely huge. And then the 10th is Bianca Belair, and I don't know if this is a controversial opinion, but I think of all the wrestlers going around today, and I would put her on par with Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair has the most potential crossover of anyone. I would say Sasha Banks has already achieved it by going into Star Wars. She's obviously going to get more deals out of that. But I feel like, as in terms of 10 people, wrestlers, sports entertainers, it's huge. It's 10 of the top 20 you are going to want to get, which we'll delve into this a little bit deeper in the future, in a little bit later on. But that, in terms of the right now, that is definitely 10 of the top 20 you're going to want of just wrestlers all time, pretty much, in terms of current, needing a mix of current and legendary superstars. But we've talked about the current and the past. Let's talk about the rookies. Now, obviously, we are familiar with all the talent on NXT 2.0 who are going to be rookies in this set. We know for a fact that Bron Breakker is going to be a rookie in this set. And so Bron Breakker is obviously going to be the next big thing. He's very, very much going to be a huge star. Lineage, look, talk, excitement. He literally is incredible in the ring, super strong. That's awesome. Right now, NXT 2.0 is probably filled with all the people we're going to be seeing for the next 10 to 20 years in the WWE. Rookies like Cora Jade is there, Gigi Dolan. I feel like I'm talking a lot about the female superstars, but right now it kind of seems to be a very strong point in terms of the future of the WWE. We're also looking at, guys like Bron Breakker, Grayson Waller, and a whole bunch of guys in NXT and girls in NXT right now who are obviously being built for massive, massive things. They're all going to be, this is their first Prizm cards. This is their first rookie cards. A lot of these superstars won't even actually have had any cards yet. So that's very exciting for that. As I said, I kind of delved into it. Bron Breakker is going to be completely influential. If he hasn't main evented a Mania by 2037, I will be very, very surprised if I'm still doing this. By then, make sure you hold me to that because he is going to be a huge star. And then the first one, I've actually got him up in spot 1. The most exciting to talk about is Gable Steveson. And so if you aren't privy to the behind the scenes and the who's been signed and the XXX and the contracts being done behind doors, you probably don't know who I'm talking about. And you probably got to this name on the list and been like, who's that? But Gable Steveson is a gold medal Olympic NCAA champion. He is what is said to be a mix of Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, and The Rock. And now, that's some big shoes to fill. But they signed this man, trained him, and built him up from the ground in terms of knowledge and ability in terms of professional wrestling. He's an Olympic gold medalist. He, right now, is the best Greco-Roman, freestyle, XX, any sort of amateur wrestling in the world right now. He's got an Olympic gold medal. And they are going to absolutely strap the rocket to this man. And if you don't believe me, keep your eyes peeled because he's going to pop up sooner rather than later. And this is the guy. This is the rookie that you are going to see and want. The next thing is, another huge part is obviously the autographs. And what I've kind of written down here are the key and surprise autographs. I think the big surprise was Batista. Doesn't exactly have a lot to do with wrestling at any one time, especially with his kind of schedule. So that was a kind of a surprise. That was one of the only autos that I saw, and I was like, that's a pretty good get. He's not in a lot of product, here and there sort of thing. So for him to be kind of in this product, the first one, I think is pretty cool. His Marvel stuff sells really well. I don't know about his older wrestling stuff, but I know that people are probably going to be pretty excited to get Batista autos. On top of that, of course, you have a whole bunch of amazing legend autos, the guys you want, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hogan, Undertaker, Triple H, the list goes on. So it's good to see that they are still signing for this, that you still have a whole bunch of the, big guys who people want. And the next part is the dual autos. And so dual autos across teams in traditional sporting releases don't always do the best. But this is different. This is highlighting the greatest rivalries of all time, greatest current rivalries. There's a whole bunch of stuff on there like, Brock and Undertaker. That's huge. That's and real key points of wrestling history. And so I think for collectors of wrestling, people who are really passionate about wrestling, these dual autos are going to be insane. They're going to be absolutely nuts. People are going to want to get their hands on them, my favorite match of all time is Kurt v, Triple H. My favorite, the list is amazing. It's a really solid list. This is one I didn't particularly write down. But Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins is there. Roman Reigns and The Undertaker, Edge and Randy, Shawn Michaels and Triple H, John Cena, Randy Orton, that's obviously an iconic one. Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels sort of thing. So there's a whole bunch of exciting things to look forward to in that. The other takeaways I've got, this one's very specific to Australia. There's a huge amount of early rookie, potentially rookie. Indy's been around a while, so I don't know. But Persia Pirotta, Grayson Waller, Duke Hudson, Indy Hartwell. 4 Australians. Everyone knows that Australian patriotism with cards like this is huge. And so it's quite cool, you know. It's going to be, you're going to be able to probably pick up a whole bunch of Australian wrestlers who are going to be on, you know, international TV for a very, very long time. All 4 of those guys that I mentioned are hugely popular, massively popular on NXT right now. You know, say what you will about any of them, but it's Australian content, and Australians love Australian content, just like Americans love American content, Canadians love Canadian content. So this is probably one of the first, like, you know, obviously we've had Josh Giddey in the NBA, Simmons, etc. And so this is the first time that I think there's been, like, these are 4 young talents. I don't think there's ever been 4 young Australians in any product that isn't exclusively Australian, like an AFL product. So, you know, that's 4 young people who are super well scouted, super, like, they're all 4 of them are doing something on NXT TV right now, which I think is a good indicator that they're being built up for permanent TV time. The Rock's first Prizm. This is something that, you know, it's kind of going to be hard to gauge how stuff like this is received. And I've used The Rock as an example because he's not in any of the other sets. There's no other Rock card. The Rock is only in the base set. And specifically, he is only in the vertical base. And we know card collectors love vertical cards, so that's a huge win for him. But that is a huge thing. The Rock's first Prizm, right now he's beyond just a wrestler. The fact that he's in the set is amazing itself. You know, you can also say it's the Undertakers and Triple H's and Shawn Michaels. You can't say Brock Lesnar. It's Roman Reigns. It's all these guys' first Prizm. But The Rock is one that's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on. And so I've kind of had a look, and I've said Color Blast in this instance, but I think that for as long as we are getting Panini WWE products, and I know that has changed in terms of what we were probably thinking was going to happen with the news this morning. But Color Blast checklist for the next release. There are a lot of big stars missing from the Color Blast list. Big current stars, big past stars. And so, assuming it's kept to Prizm, we don't have a Stone Cold Steve Austin Color Blast. You know, we don't have Undertaker Color Blast. The 10 that we do have are very good. But you probably noticed me earlier say, hey, you know, there is more to potentially have. Superstars like Kane, you know, Kofi Kingston could have been considered a miss. Drew McIntyre's not there. And there's enough legends to go through. Hulk Hogan doesn't have on Stone Cold. Andre the Giant. You know, they're just a few that off the top of my head I'm like, conspicuous by their absence. So maybe it's just another huge thing to kind of keep in the back of your mind, you know. There's wrestlers who are obviously going to be signing stickers now. We know that Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker have signed a sticker each because they're in other autograph sets. But they're not yet on the rivalry set. And I think that's one that you would have. So I think there's a lot being saved for next year or the year after. You know what I'm saying? Like they haven't completely thrown everything. You know, there's stuff to be excited about. There's stuff that's coming in the future that we should be super stoked about. Another big one is the Photo Retail and T-Mall. That is a very, we know by now, retail comes out, photo comes out, T-Mall comes out. And it looks like they're going to be the only 4 other SKUs that we get. The rainbow of a base card includes all of these. It looks to be about a 22 or 23 card rainbow, which means that it is smaller than any NBA rainbow, but it's 23 cards is a lot. And the interesting things are that there are obvious photo exclusives, And also there are things that we are commonly seeing in retail Prizm, particularly the green pulsar. On top of that, white sparkle. Now that is something that probably hasn't been brought up a lot, but there is a white sparkle little one right there. It's in between silver and red. You probably wouldn't read that. So white sparkle, of course, usually pops up in like on rewards packs and stuff. And so are we seeing Panini Rewards white sparkle packs for WWE? You know, is that something people are going to want to get their hands on? Is it going to come with something? Is it going to be, you know, oh, buy the premium box, get a white sparkle pack? We don't know. We have no idea. And so that's another thing to take into consideration. And now there are a few things that I would like to bring up that, you know, people do seem to have an issue with. And so the first thing is, of course, the price point. Now, I think we're at a point now, and I think we'll keep going towards a point where people are going to have to pay more. How does this affect old Topps product? We saw it with UFC Prizm. It's expensive now compared to what you used to pay with Topps. And so I don't know if it's a thing that wrestling collectors are now going to have to, even beyond, are going to have to expect to pay more. Is wrestling a thing that people are going to pay more? You know, I mean, and this isn't a slight. The WWE's, you know, markets a lot towards children as well as adults. And so, whereas the UFC isn't marketing towards children, so their market share aims, if you will, are probably split down the middle. They want to appeal to both children and adults, whereas things like the UFC don't have that. UFC doesn't have a big, you know, they're not PG-13, like, so that's going to be a very, very interesting aspect of the whole release. For what it's worth, the market is setting these prices. People are purchasing at that price, so there are people wanting to pay it. So we had, you know, it's not like, you know, people aren't paying for that. And so there are going to be ways to find out. We've got the Dutch auction coming up in the next couple of days. I believe that's 3 days away, roughly 2.5 days away. I'm not really sure the exact timeline of it as now. But we're going to be able to see very quickly what people think about it, what people are willing to pay to get their hands on it. There aren't a lot of players selling it. Of course, you can jump into our breaks. We have a random pack break. We're busting open an entire case. You can get in for $50 a pack, which is an absolutely amazing price. And so, yeah, I picked apart the checklist pretty thoroughly. I think it's great. I think in terms of a first release, it's a good mix of legends that people loved because of their influence on the sport. There's a few legends that people love because it'd be a nostalgic point in their childhood. For example, Rikishi's on there, big plus for me. And a whole bunch of future stars. Of course, the beautiful men and women of the WWE are there. So you have your Stacy Keeblers, you have your Edges. You know, Santos Escobar is a very handsome man. So there is all of that there. We have a bit of time now, so if anybody would like to ask any questions, if anyone has any comments that you want to kind of bring up, you know, Seth Rollins doesn't have a color blast. Thank you, Cullen. That's a very good point. Price big turnoff. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes from where it is at the moment. So, you know, maybe we have, you know, a big, there's big cards people just go nuts for. Maybe the Gable Steveson rookies are at what Paddy Pimblett's cards are at the moment. So it's kind of hard to say. You know, if a couple of nice numbered Gable Steveson pays for your box, you know, nice numbered The Rock pays for your box, that's going to be awesome. So The Rock is card. Here's card 191. There you go. Stone Cold 192. Andre the Giant as well. I don't think we have any real organization to it. How much are we going to get in? Not sure yet. It's kind of all up in the air. We're going to have a case. Pre-orders will go live in the coming weeks. We do have a breakup currently, which is You know, if you're not in that and you are even slightly interested in these cards, you are making a mistake. I don't think anywhere else in the world you will find a $50 pack of this product. It's already well over a third full of people keen to get their hands on a wrestling card. Yeah. That is, Michael, that's a Dutch auction, so it will go down. The Dutch auction is the absolute market-defining thing I will be watching with very bated breath. Anything else? Anyone else got any questions or comments they'd like to ask? I've kind of gone through it. I have an idea. I think the big cards will be Stevenson, The Rock, and the Color Blasts, obviously. Good to see that The Rock is on the checklist, though. I know a few people, including myself, will be like, I hope they're there. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of really, really nice things kind of hidden in between. You know, for example, Ultimate Warrior has a card. You know, Brock Lesnar, we talked about the other night, he was one of the first athletes to have 2 Prizms. The big one, another big one who's not there is Ronda Rousey. I mean, did they know it's going to happen, sort of thing. The autos in the set, there's actually a few different sets. So we have the Superstar Autograph, which is 40 long, which is, you know, there's a whole bunch of different tiers. Like Bron Breakker and Gable Steveson both have signed in that, but so has like Reggie. And like Brock Lesnar's in that set, but so is Omos. You know, like it's a pretty ranged set. The Sensational Signatures is the one that you probably get the most of. Again, that's another one where a whole bunch of mid-range talent, I guess you can say, and upcoming. And then you have the Legendary Signatures, which is a huge checklist. Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, Batista, Trish Stratus, Road Dogg, Nikki Bella, Rikishi, Iron Sheik, Kane, Lita, Slaughter, Nash, Booker T, Bella, Brie variety, Bret Hart, Jerry Lawler, Mick Foley. Very interesting to notice there is no number 2, so I'm not really sure who was taken out of that list, but they're no longer, they didn't sign, didn't get their stickers back. Champion Signatures will be the big ones, like it has been in the UFC. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Roman Reigns, Undertaker, Charlotte, Shinsuke Nakamura, Big E, Triple H, Becky Lynch, Hulk Hogan, Damian Priest. So that's it there. So yeah, interesting to see who that one was that got removed. Yeah. As you know, well, that's the interesting one. Color Blast on the price point is going to be very, very curious, a very curious incident of the night. You know, there aren't a lot of, like, for example, Roman Reigns autos don't sell huge. How will his Color Blast go? Will the card transcend the, I guess the question we have to ask is, will the autograph transcend what is, you know, in front of you, sort of thing? So, for example, like, will a Color Blast of anybody from now on do way better than anything else they put out of that person, you know? There's going to be ways to research that. Go back and look through soccer. Go back and look through UFC. Yeah, guys like Finn Balor, Edge have missed out. Are they next year? Will we see them in next year's one? The Omos. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of categorize rookies this time around. For example, there is people who have wrestled for 30 years. Like, I'm pretty sure. How long has Marco Satomura been wrestling? Satomura has been wrestling since 1995. So that is close to 30 years. 30 years Meiko Satomura has been wrestling. she hasn't been wrestling for NXT UK that long. Will she have a rookie card? Like, you know, that's literally 28 years, 27 years. So she debuted February 11th, 2021. So in terms of her rookie status, are they saying a year? Are they saying less than X matches? If you're on NXT, you're a rookie, you know? Obviously, Bron Breakker's a rookie. But some of these other wrestlers, like Omos, you know, did they have rookies for, you know, Tops products? How is it going to work? It's going to be an interesting one. I would hope that Satomura doesn't have a rookie symbol, although I would really like it if she did. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I'm very excited. I think that it's going to be a whole lot of fun. You know, we have seen Roman Reigns Superfractors went for 8K US recently. You know, wrestling cards, wrestling media is on the up at the moment. For example, sketch cards from Transcendent are selling for heaps. You know, one-on-one refractors selling for heaps. So, are we going to see that with the Prizm Black? I know the Prizm Gold gets a lot of love. So, like, it's going to be really, really good, you know. So much to look forward to in terms of all this sort of stuff. You know, they haven't delved into tag teams. You know, do we see in future products, do we see an Immaculate that, you know, are people hot because of WrestleMania? It's going to be exciting. I'm really excited to open it. I had so much fun opening WWE Transcendent, and I'm the same amount of hype as that. So it's going to be a ton of fun, honestly. It's a huge potential stepping stone for big things. But yeah, that kind of sums up everything I wanted to talk about. There's so much to look forward to. We have, of course, the breakup. If you're not yet in that break, check it out. $50 a pack. There will not be a cheaper pack on this planet. At least in terms of a full case. So yeah, everyone will walk away with something. If there's one box per, if there's one color blast per case on a full level, then that's a win. You know, someone will get that. So it'll be a great way to see how a case breaks down. It'll happen release day, and it's going to be very exciting. That is all from me. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive. I'm sure you will see parts of this chopped up, cut up, moved around for the future. Thank you so much for joining me, and let's get excited for WWE Prizm.